Hello and welcome to ReginaldESQ. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the French Tier 3 medium tank, the D2. So is it any good? Well, I think it might be good, but I'm not sure, and the reason is I played 17 games in this tank and only one of them was a Tier 3 match. 4 of them were Tier 4 matches and 12 of them were Tier 5 matches. I think at Tier 3 this tank would do very well, but the one Tier 3 game I had, my tank wasn't fully upgraded, so I don't know. But it's okay at Tier 4. It does suffer pretty badly at Tier 5, but most Tier 3 tanks do. So I think it's probably not a bad tank. Although, looking at its stats, it shouldn't be. It should be terrible. Let's get into it and have a look. It has 230 hit points, which is the second lowest of the Tier 3 medium tanks, the lowest being the M2 at 210 hit points, and the highest being the Vickers Medium Mark III at 280 hit points. Big variance in hit points in this range. It weighs 20 tons, which is the second heaviest. The MT, which was about average actually. The M2 is 21, and they're all mostly pretty close to the 20-ton mark, except for the Chi-Ha, which is only 16 ton. Now, speed-wise, you remember the D1 was a complete work of fiction. However, the stated speed here of 23 kilometers an hour is accurate. It does 23 kilometers an hour on the flat, so at least we've got a proper speed. That said, it's terrible. It is the slowest of the Tier 3 mediums. The next slowest being the premium PZ S35739, which does 37 kilometers an hour. So a big difference between this tank and the next slowest. So it is really slow for a medium tank. It has a track traverse speed of 38, which is average for a Tier 3 medium, and a turret traverse of 28, which is pretty bad. That's the slowest turret traverse of the mediums. The next slowest would be the Chi-Ha with 32, and the next 31. And the next slowest after that would be the M2 with 41. So it's a very slow turret traverse. What this means is that any mediums or light tanks getting to your side or being in a position where they can circle you will just basically rip you to pieces. You, especially if they track you, your turret just cannot keep up with them at all. It's terrible at close fighting, this tank. Really terrible. It also means that you can't circle anybody else, even heavies. So yeah, that's not its function. It can't compete in that area. Now, view range wise, its view range of 320 meters is the worst of all the Tier 3 mediums, and its signal range of 375 is terrible and is the worst of all the Tier 3 mediums. Camouflage wise, the camouflage of this tank is below average. It's not the bottom, but it's not far from it. So far I've told you that it's got second lowest hit points, it's the slowest, average traverse, terrible turret traverse, terrible view range, terrible signal range, poor camouflage. So why the heck isn't it a terrible tank? Couple of reasons. It has pretty good armor and a pretty good gun, and the gun depression is good. Has 10 degrees of gun depression and 20 degrees of elevation. Now the 10 degrees of gun depression is only average for a Tier 3 medium, but it's still good gun depression. So you can use it as a hill fighter, and it does have a good turret and quite a strong mantlet. So I'm pretty sure if you use this in a Tier 3 match, when you're top tier, hill fighting would be the way to go, because the other Tier 3s would have a lot of trouble penetrating your turret, and you have a pretty good gun at Tier 3, so I reckon that'd be the way to go. Like I say, unfortunately I only had the one Tier 3 game and my tank wasn't upgraded, so I couldn't really test it, but based on what I've been able to do with the tank since then, I think probably it would be good at that. Now, let's have a quick look at the grind. So the turret is a weird upgrade. It gives you an extra 20 hit points, an extra 20 meters of view range, and extra 6 millimeters of armor all around, but it takes 2 off your traverse speed because it's a fair bit heavier. So it's a bit of a bummer because it has got a very slow turret traverse. The only gun really worth going for is this one here, in my opinion. It's a 47mm, has a rate of fire of 23.08, which is pretty quick. Penetration of 66 is very good at Tier 3. Not great at tier 4. It really starts to suffer against tanks like the Hetzer, the B1, the Matilda. I probably fired, I don't know, 30 rounds into the sides of Matildas and maybe penetrated twice. The rear of Matildas even I've just bounced off. Front of Hetzer's almost impossible to pen, and B1's pretty tough. However, if you use the premium ammunition, you will get 98mm of penetration. I think I fired about 5 rounds of premium at a Matilda and I got 1 of them penetrated, so it's still tough, but can help. The damage of 55mm is actually not bad for tier 3, especially with that rate of fire. It's pretty good. 0.39 accuracy is not bad for tier 3, not bad at all, but the 2.3 second aim time is a bit slow. Please note that the tank reloads faster than it aims, so you will not be fully aimed when you are ready to fire. So if you're going to keep this tank, the purchase of a gun laying drive would probably be a good idea. Enough of me waffling on about this. Let's get into Tank Inspector now, have a look at the armor, and then get into some gameplay. So then let's have a look at the armor of the D2 in Tank Inspector. We'll go to the colorized view and we can see it's a pretty uniform armor. We've got 40mm of armor on the upper and lower hull. So it's slightly sloped and then it gets a bit flatter as we go up. The driver's view areas and a hatch here are only 35mm thick, and so are probably the weakest spots frontally of this tank and are the best spot to aim for if you want to penetrate. On the side of the tank, it's still 40mm of armor, so we could angle this tank quite heavily and get a pretty good of effect out of it. So you can see here we can do quite heavy angling and it will work quite well. The lower hull though just here is thinner at 25mm. You'd have to be a pretty good shot though to get between this layer of spaced armor, which is 16mm thick, and actually makes it stronger than the upper hull. The rear of the tank is also 40mm, so very strong at the rear. However, the upper deck at the rear is only 10mm thick, and that would be the spot to aim for if you get behind the tank. The turret is probably the best feature of the armor of this tank. It has 46mm. Even the cupola is 46mm and is angled and sloped as well, which is good. But the good thing is the shape of the turret. You can see here when we get near the edges, it's quite the equivalent is quite a bit thicker than the actual armor, and we even get ricochets up in this area here. And the rest of the turret is pretty much mantlet, and the mantlet's very good. You see here we've got 30mm of armor overlaying 46mm of armor, which is giving us a really good bounce. Now, not only are you going to bounce tier 3s, you'll probably bounce a lot of tier 4 tanks with that turret, which is why I think this tank would be good just popping over hills and only exposing the turret using its 10 degrees of gun depression. So you can see when we get to this pink area here, even here I've got 46mm of armor overlaying 46mm. It's very tough. And there are a few holes in the armor here as we get closer to the gun where it's just 46. I think, where is it? Here, around here. No, there. Just in this side area here. But it's pretty small and you have to be unlucky for them to hit it. So, very good armor or turret armor at tier 3. Not too bad at tier 4, but of course just doesn't stop anything at tier 5. Let's get into some gameplay. The map looks to be Erlenberg on fire. I'm in my tier 3 D2 and it's a tier 5 game. As I said, I only had one tier 3 game, 4 tier 4 games and 12 tier 5 games. So the 2 games I'm going to show you are both tier 5 games as it turns out. So I won't do particularly well, but at least it'll give you an idea of what tanks it can penetrate. So as you can see, the tank's not fast. Yeah, a bit slow. Now also bear in mind my cruise skills are only around 75-76% in this tank, so that will affect its performance a little bit. It will load a little faster, aim a little faster when you've got your crew upgraded. Okay, straight away we spot a T-80.
Enemy armor is hit.
A Russian light tank. And
Bounce.
the side of the Russian light tank looks good enough to pen.
Enemy armor is damaged. Ricochet. Gotcha.
So you can see there the gun does fire quite rapidly. Good reload.
Enemy is hit.
And we've got a Tier 5 Crusader there.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
Fortunately we didn't get through its armour. So I'm not wanting to go up the front. I can let the KV-1 there take a couple of hits and hopefully spot. He's got much better armour than me. Okay, looks like that our Panzer SFL has spotted an M2 medium up there. I'm thinking about driving out to get a shot on it, but I'm also wary of getting absolutely smashed by any Tier 5s that are looking at us. The Crusader's moving off down there, so I'm probably safe from him. So I may be able to afford to move out and get a shot, try and get a shot on this M2. Still trying to use cover to cover myself from the Crusader, and looks like a KV-1 maybe took care of it, or it might have been the Panzer SFL took care of that M2. I can see a T-28 right down there, see if we can get a shot on it. Nope, not yet, it's too low. It's moving out now.
Penetration.
As you can see, not bad accuracy for 290 meters.
They're knocked out.
So Tier 4 tank, the T-28, lightly armoured, so we're able to penetrate it fairly easily. So the game's still pretty close, it's 8-9. Trying to get a shot on this Crusader. Here we are.
Enemy armor is
Get
hit.
one into it there.
Penetration.
So you can see the side of the Crusader we're able to penetrate.
Enemy armor is damaged.
Unfortunately against a Tier 5 tank we're just not doing enough damage to really worry the Crusader. 55 per hit's not enough.
Penetration.
We've put quite a few hits into it, and now it's opening up on us. Has a 4-shot cannon,
Bail out. This vehicle is
and 4-shot auto cannon, 3 shots are enough to take care of us. We just couldn't stand the shot, so we hit him 5 times, penetrated. He penetrated us 3 times and we're dead, so just can't really take the Tier 5s. So that game was a loss, and we did okay though for a Tier 3 and a Tier 5 game. Let's have a look at the next screen, and we actually finished on top for experience for our team. Probably not for damage, surely not. No, the Churchill did more damage. Oh, was that the only tank that did more damage as us, was the Churchill? Crikey. Okay. Bit of a worry. We fired 20 shots, 15 of those are direct hits, which is not bad. Of those, 12 penetrated. I'm very happy about that in a Tier 5 game. Damage was 594. We did avoid any heavy tanks though by not going to town. The town areas where all the heavies go. We received 3 hits, they all penetrated, all from the Crusader. Enemy vehicles damaged 4, enemy vehicles destroyed 2, so we did our part in the game. As you can see, as you expect with Tier 3, quite a profitable tank as well. And the was it 314? What did that give us? A class 3, was it? Next game.
Move out.
The map is Westfield. It's yet another Tier 5 game. At least 2/3 of the tanks are Tier 5, and there's a couple of Tier 4s and a few Tier 3s on each team. Judging from where I started, and owing to the fact that my tank is so slow, I decided to head straight for the cover, or the spotting position behind some bushes on the hill. I'm just hoping that I get there before anybody from the other side of the valley spots me and can open fire on me. So we're doing 11 kilometers an hour, now 10, so it's pretty slow. I may just speed this up to 2 times. I'm going to do 9 kilometers an hour now. I'll make it 4 times. Alright, stop. Back to 1 times. We've seen a Wolverine on the other side of the valley. It's probably asking a bit much from .39 accuracy, but we'll give it a shot. Oh, we penetrated. And he's gone. Yay. Well, that was a tier... Wolverine's a tier 5 tank, so we did, that was good. So we've got a Chinyu Kai, tier 5 Japanese premium tank up here with us. He got here a bit quicker than me. You can see a T-34 on the other side of the valley there. I'm trying to get to cover before I start firing. So at least I've got some sort of camouflage. Oh, and now I see a T-46.
Enemy armor is hit.
Now the T-46 is, I believe, a tier 3, so I should be able to penetrate pretty easily with this gun. And the Chinyu Kai decides he's done enough here and he's moving on. And he's probably right, but me being a tier 3, I don't want to be too adventurous because I'm just getting blown away. Someone will get that phone shortly, I think. It's not your phone. It's on it's on the YouTube, it's not your phone. Okay, so we've got T-34 again on the other side of the valley this time. Missed by a mile.
We didn't even scratch them.
T-34 being a tier 5 medium at this range is probably asking a bit much for this gun to be able to penetrate it. At least I can try and blow away the cover, but I can't even penetrate the cover. The game's looking pretty good for us now. It's 11-6. So we've probably got this one. Although one of our tanks just blew up there, so it's 11-7 now. Chinyu Kai's coming back. And on he goes. So he's decided to move forward. I say he, could be a she. So it's good because he's just spotted this Chinyu for me.
Enemy is hit. That one bounced.
So we did bounce one there. The Chinyu has poor armor for a tier 5 medium, but against the tier 3 it's not bad. The Chinyu Kai has pretty much the same armor, but it has better turret armor than the Chinyu. I'm just blind firing here, hoping I'm hitting it.
That one didn't go through.
That one hit the side of his turret, so that was fair enough. So he's obviously seen us now,
Penetration.
but he's moving, so if we just keep firing, he'll probably miss us because he's moving.
Enemy armor is hit.
Alright, well they've only got 2 tanks left now. It's a Chinyu Kai, which we were just shooting at then, and an M41 artillery. And we've got 6-7 tanks left, so we've obviously got this one, but with a bit of luck I'll get some more damage in before the game finishes. Now we're capping, so I don't know whether that Chinyu Kai will turn around and try and go back to defend his cap, or her cap. Or what, or whether it's just hiding down there in that valley. So I think any second now I'll make the decision to go forward and go after it, which I probably should have done about 20 seconds ago. So I'm kind of worried it's waiting for me in those bushes down there. The KV-1's getting pretty close now, and the KV-1 hasn't spotted it, so I figure I'll start moving. Must be pretty close. Oh, we're being capped. Well, that means the junior guy's at the cap, so I'm turning around frantically trying to get a shot. I can see it's low health, so I'm hoping I get a shot in it before somebody else does. Yay! We got one into it. Whoa, we got a kill. Yippee! We survived in a tier 5 game. Rejoice. Okay, so we managed to get a win out of that game, and for tier 3 and a tier 5 game, I think we did alright. And yeah, we finished sort of, you know, average in the experience aisle there, and average for damage, which is to be expected. And the next screen, we fired 33 shots, 19 of those hit, but they're mostly pretty long range shots. Of the 19, it hit 13 with penetrations, which I'm pretty happy with. 532 damage. We received one hit which bounced. We managed to bounce a shot off the Chi Nu, I believe it was. Damage block by armor was 125. Yep. We spotted one. We damaged 5, destroyed 1. That's pretty good. 235 spotting damage as well. 15 base defense points there. Very, very good profit margin. And the 530 XP was enough to get us class 2. So mastery probably wouldn't be that hard if you could actually get a tier 3 game in it. Now, I did have a look at the matchmaker weighting for this tank, and it's actually weighted lower than other tier 3 mediums. So in other words, it should get less higher tier games than other tier 3 mediums. So I think my experience has just been bad luck. You probably won't have that experience because most of them are weighted at tier 4, which means that on average they should see mostly tier 4 games. This tank is weighted at 3.9, which I believe means it should see, you know, mostly tier 4s, but then more tier 3s, say, than tier 5s. But for some reason I just got a bum steer. So hopefully your experience will be better than mine. Good luck. Thank you for watching my review of the D2. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more, please subscribe to ReginaldESQ. Have fun!